Les Chants de Maldoror, Book 2, Section 5, by le Comte de Lautréamont. On my daily walk, I used to pass through a narrow street every day. Every day a slim 10-year-old girl would follow me along the street, keeping a respectful distance, looking at me with sympathetic, curious eyes. She was big for her age and had a well-shaped body. Long black hair parted on her head fell in separate tresses onto shoulders like marble. One day she was following me as usual. The sturdy arms of a woman of the people caught her by the hair, like a whirlwind catches a leaf, and slapped her twice, brutally, on her proud, silent face. Then she brought that straying consciousness back home. I tried in vain to appear unconcerned. She never failed to pursue me, though her presence had by now become irksome. When I took a different route, she would stop, struggling violently to control herself. At the end of the street, standing still as the statue of silence, and she would not cease looking before her until I was out of sight. One day this girl went on ahead of me in the street and fell into step with me. If I walked faster to pass by her, she almost ran to keep the same distance between us. But if I slowed down so that there would be a large space between us, she slowed down too, and did so with all the grace of childhood. When we reached the end of the street, she slowly turned around, barring my way. There was no time, for me to slip away. Now I stood before her. Her eyes were swollen and red. It was easy to see that she wanted to speak to me, but did not know how to go about it. Her face suddenly turned pale as a corpse. She asked me, "Would you be so kind as to tell me what time it is?" I told her I did not have a watch and walked rapidly away. And since that day, child of the troubled and precocious imagination, you have not seen in your narrow street the mysterious young man whose heavy sandals could be heard clattering along those winding roads. The appearance of this blazing comet will never be repeated. The mournful object of your fanatical curiosity will no longer flash on the facade of your disappointed observation. And you will often think, too often, perhaps always, of him who did not seem to be worried about the good and evil of this life, who went haphazardly away, with his face horribly dead, his hair standing on end, with a tottering gait, his arms swimming blindly in the ironic waters of ether, as if he were seeking there the bleeding prey of hope, continually buoyed up through the immense regions of space by the implacable snowplow of fatality. You will see me no more, and I will no longer see you. Who knows? Maybe this young girl was not what she appeared to be. Perhaps boundless cunning, 18 years' experience, and the charm of vice were hidden beneath her innocent appearance. Young sellers of love have been known to leave the British Isles gaily behind them and cross the Channel. They spread their wings, whirling in golden swarms in the Parisian light. And whenever they were seen, people would say, "They are no more than 10 or 12 years old." But in reality, they were 20. Oh, if this supposition be true, cursed be the windings of that dark street. Horrible, horrible, the things that happened there. I think her mother struck her because she was not plying her trade skillfully enough. It is possible that she was only a child, and in that case, the mother's even more guilty. For my part, I refuse to believe this supposition, which is only a hypothesis, and I prefer to see and to love in this romantic character a soul revealing itself too soon. Ah, young girl, I charge you not to reappear before me if I ever return to that narrow street. It would cost you dear. No, no. I, generous enough to love my fellows, I have resolved against it since the day of my birth. They do not love me. Worlds will be destroyed, granite will glide like a cormorant on the surface of the waves before I touch the infamous hands of another human being. Back, back with that hand. Young girl, you are no angel. You will become like other women after all. No, no, I implore you, do not reappear before my frowning, squinting eyes. In a moment of distraction, I might take your arms and wring them like linen which is squeezed after washing, or break them with a crack like two dry branches, and then forcible make you eat them. Taking our head between my hands with a gentle caressing air, I might dig my greedy fingers into the lobes of your innocent brain, to extract, with a smile on my lips, a substance which is good ointment to bathe my eyes, sore from the eternal insomnia of life. I might, by stitching your eyelids together, deprive you of the spectacle of the universe, and make it impossible for you to see your way, and then I should certainly not act as your guide. I might, raising your virgin body in my iron arms, seize you by the legs and swing you around me like a front, concentrating all my strength as I describe that final circle and hurling you against the wall. Each drop of your blood would spurt on to a human breast, to frighten men and to set before them an example of my wickedness. They will tear shreds and shreds of flesh from their bodies, but the drop of blood remains, ineffaceable, in the same place, and will shine like a diamond. Do not be alarmed. I will instruct 6 servants to keep the venerated remains of your body, and to protect them from the ravenous hunger of the dogs. No doubt, the body has remained stuck to the wall, like a ripe pear, and has not fallen to the earth, but a dog can jump extremely high, if one is not careful. Section 6. How delightful this child is, sitting on a bench in the Tuileries garden. His bold eyes dart looks at some invisible object far off in the distance. He cannot be more than 8 years old, yet he is not playing happily, and in a manner which would befit one of his years. He should at least be laughing and walking with some friend, but to do so would not be in character. How delightful this child is, sitting on the bench in the Tuileries garden. A man moved by a hidden design comes and sits beside him on the bench. His manner is suspicious. Who is he? I need not tell you, for you will recognize him by his tortuous conversation. Let us listen to them without disturbing them. What were you thinking of, my child? I was thinking of heaven. You do not need to think about heaven. It is quite enough to think about this earth. Are you tired of life, you who have only just been born? No, but everyone prefers heaven to earth. Not I, for since heaven like earth has been made by God, you may be sure that there you will meet the same evils as down here. After your death you will not be rewarded according to your merits, for injustices are done you on this earth, and experience will later teach you that they are. There is no reason why in the next life they should not continue to be committed. The best thing you can do is not think of God, and to take the law into your own hands, since justice is denied you. If one of your companions offended you, would you not be glad to kill him? But it is forbidden. It is not as forbidden as you think. It's just a matter of not getting caught. The justice of laws is worthless. It is the jurisprudence of the offended party which counts. If you detested one of your companions, would you not be wretched at the thought of constantly having his image before your mind's eye? That is true. Such a companion would make you wretched for the rest of your life, for seeing that your hatred is only passive, he will continue to sneer at you and hurt you with impunity. So, There is only one way of putting an end to the situation. That is to get rid of one's enemy. This is the point I wanted to make so that you would understand the basis on which our present society is founded. Each man, unless he is simply an imbecile, must take the law into his own hands. He who gains victory over his fellow men is the cleverest and the strongest. Would you not like to dominate your fellow men?
Yes, yes.
Then be the strongest and the cleverest. You are too young yet to be the strongest, but from today you can use guile, the finest instrument of men of genius. When the shepherd boy David struck the giant Goliath's head with a stone from a sling, is it not wonderful to note that it was only cunning which enabled David to conquer his adversary, and that if, on the other hand, it had come to a hand-to-hand fight, the giant would have crushed him like a fly? In open war, you will never be able to conquer men on whom you wish to impose your will, but with cunning, you can fight alone against them all. You desire riches, palaces, fame, or were you deceiving me when you declared these noble aspirations?
No, I was not deceiving you, but I would like to attain what I want by other means.
Then you will achieve nothing. Virtuous and well-meaning methods lead nowhere. You must bring into play more powerful levers, more cunningly contrived traps. Before your virtue has brought you fame, before you have achieved your goal, 100 others will have time to leapfrog over your back and arrive at the winning post ahead of you, so that there will be no more room left for your narrow ideas. One must be able to embrace more amply the horizon of the present time. Have you not heard, for example, of the immense glory victories bring? And yet, victories do not simply happen. Blood must be shed, a lot of blood, to achieve them, and to lay them at the feet of conquerors. Without the corpses and the scattered limbs you see on the plain where carnage is wisely practiced, there would be no war. And without war, there would be no victory. You see that. When one wants to be famous, one has to dive gracefully into the rivers of the blood of cannon-blasted bodies. The end excuses the means. The first thing you need to be famous is to have money. Now, as you have none, you will have to murder to acquire it. But as you are not strong enough to handle a dagger, become a thief until your limbs are big enough. That they may grow more quickly, I advise you to do gymnastics twice a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 at night. In this way, you will be able to start your career of crime at 15 instead of waiting until you are 20. Love of glory excuses everything, and perhaps later, when you are the master of your fellow men, you will do them almost as much good as you did them harm in the beginning. Maldoror notices that the blood is boiling in his young interlocutor's head. His nostrils are swollen. His lips are flecked with a light white foam. He feels his pulse. It is beating very fast. Fever has taken hold of this delicate body. He fears the consequences his words will have. The wretch sneaks away, frustrated at not having been able to converse longer with the child. When even in mature years it is so difficult to master our passions, poised between good and evil, how hard it must be for so inexperienced a mind. How much more relative energy is required. The child will escape at the price of 3 days in bed. May it please heaven that his mother's presence should restore peace to this sensitive flower, the frail exterior of a fine soul.